What I want you to be aware is that many people with good names are not actually good. They just have good PR. You know, like the current debate, which I don't know the truth about, the main defense of the Supreme Court judge is that people want to destroy his name. That there is no question about theft. But once somebody says you stole, even if later you discover you did not steal, your name is gone, isn't it? So they are not interested in proving anything. They just want you to be in the newspaper for 3 weeks. And that's what you will remember forever. On Sunday I was counseling somebody, and they said their name. Then they told me, maybe the best way I can tell you is because I'm from the family of somebody who was one of the key witnesses in the 1983 Georgia Commission. Remember it? I won't tell you the name. But you see, it's not a good name. But within that period, because of course trying to say the museum was not exactly the way the newspaper, but you cannot correct it, can you? So it's important to understand that we should not assume good name on the basis of the PR. It must be because you know something beyond the good name. Number 2, good name has nothing to do with competence. You can be a good speaker without a good name. Because a good speaker is a gift. And not all of us are that gifted, isn't it? So many people are competent preachers, but they don't have a good name. But it normally takes you quite a bit of time, because people with a gift, the gift goes ahead of them. So the first assumption, once you land in the parish, everybody has had your name. They are so happy. It will take them about 3 months to discover who you really are. Because you speak in that service, all the youth want to run to your church. But after 3 months, they start hearing stories, isn't it? So we need to differentiate the other idea. Don't get cheated by PR. Number 1. Number 2, don't get cheated by gifts. The gift does not determine whether you have a good name. The way I like explaining it is, since we are all Christians, is the issue of what do you call a mature person? A lot of people use gifts to test maturity, Christian maturity, but of course the scriptures don't say so. You can have, at least I've been saved for almost 50 years, but I have never had you asked me to pray for your headache, and you don't get better. After 50 years of being a Christian, then somebody gets saved last week, they come and pray for you, and you get better. That's a gift, am I right? And the gift has absolutely nothing to do with the owner of the gift. The reason it's called a gift is it came from outside. Are we together? But many people in church are gauged as mature on the basis of the gift. In fact, go around and check the elders and deacons. The mature Christians never enter those places, because we don't measure them with that way. We measure them by gifts. We look at who has gifts, and they finally become elders. And that's not scripture. If you want to know maturity, it's in Galatians 5:22. The fruit of the Spirit is the one that determines. Because Paul asks, not everybody has the same gift, isn't it? But with the fruit, everybody must have the fruit. You cannot tell me, you cannot make me, I just naturally hate rules. Now, the moment you tell me you hate rules, I go back to Galatians 5:22, which doesn't allow a person with the fruit of the Spirit does not hate the love. So if you naturally hate, we know which fruit you are having. It cannot be the fruit of the Spirit. So it's important to understand that thing. That's why we want to start, because you're talking about character. And the name is character. So you need to be aware you don't measure it by gifts. You measure it by fruit. All of them. And the trouble with that fruit, the day I discovered that it is one fruit, I used to say 9 fruits. Until I saw again, I was listening to someone and said, no. There's only one with 9 tastes. When you take when you take an orange, you don't choose which you take everything in the orange. Am I right? So you cannot choose which taste in the orange to have. You must take everything. The same thing, if you have the fruit of the Spirit, all the 9 tastes will be in you. You know, some people say, I don't have peace, but I have love. Then you don't have the fruit. The fruit is one fruit, isn't it? Yeah. So you must get whole thing. Now, so it's important to understand what we are talking about here. That we are saying a good name. What we mean is somebody who exhibits the fruit of the Spirit. All the 9. When I was young, they gave me a chorus to sing when I want to remember it. For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. For such there is no law. I don't know if when you were Sunday school you were taught that chorus. But it helped me to remember all the 9. For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. What are you lacking among the 3? Then you don't have a good name. Whether it is love, joy, or peace. Those are tough ones. The first 3 are very tough. You know, how do you have love? And some people are simply unlovable. You know, they simply make it difficult. You arrive in a parish, it doesn't take you 3 weeks to know. Even people tell you, watch out for Manganga, that one. But you try to resist doing that. You don't want to be misguided. But the first time you meet him, he insults you. So you realize exactly what you are told. And the Bible is saying, if you have the fruit of the Spirit, even Nganga you will. What about joy? What is joy? Joy is not showing the teeth. Joy is an inner satisfaction on the inside that allows you to accept things as they are and to believe that God is in them. Are we together? That's what joy is. Sense of contentment. I've written a book, it's over there, called The Secret of Contentment. How do you get joy in every circumstance? So if, for example, your mother has just died, certainly, I don't expect you to have joy. But the Bible does. Okay, to my point. So that you are crying, tears are coming out because you miss your mother. But something tells you, for God to take her, it was the right time. And God knows better than. So you are crying and laughing at the same time. That's what joy actually is all about. And if you don't have it, you don't have a good name. Because what gives you a good name is the fact that you act so differently from the natural person that everybody will notice you. Am I right? What about peace? Peace is not lack of quarrels or lack of war. Peace is the understanding the situation is bad, but the situation is still under control. Are we together? So somehow, if the situation, as you can see it, is terrible, but something tells you God is still in control. That's what you mean by peace. So if you don't have peace, you don't have a good name. Do you know there are times when you act terrible and everybody understands? We understand why a pastor behaves like that. Who can't behave like that? Now, the fruit of the Spirit means you act not the way we expect. You have something that's not humanly speaking natural. That's why the fruit of the Spirit is not a natural gift. It's a fruit of the Holy Spirit. Now I wanted you to understand that then as we go to character, you understand that that's what we may define good character as. Good character is Galatians 5:22. So that's what we mean when you have a good name. Because you can get a fake name, you can fake it until you make it. Now that's a new one. We'll be looking at a definition of transformational leadership. We'll look at, and I realize there are a lot of people that side. We'll look at the definition of character. We'll look at the character as foundation to leadership. Then we are going to ask ourselves, how do you develop a good character? What are the sources of good character? Then you look at the various domains of character formation when you are forming good character. Then what motivates you to have this good character? Then you look at various things that could destroy your character. Because you can have a good name until you are 35, then it's having a bad name. What can destroy your character? And then we'll look at the process of changing your character. Because we believe it's possible, once you admit there is something wrong with you, it should be possible to change towards having a good character. Now, some of you have gone to Haggai Institute, so I'm quoting from John Haggai's book, which is called Lead On, Leadership That Endures in a changing world, and defines leadership as the discipline of deliberately exerting special influence within a group or a community to move it towards goals of beneficial permanence that fulfill the group's real needs. What is leadership? Leadership is not just leading people. You are only a leader if you have leading them towards something good. Transforming leadership focuses on the positive transformation of the life and life situations of particular constituencies or group. Transforming leadership is themselves, leaders are themselves models of transformation that leading and involves intentional, ongoing processes of life and leadership. So the key critical thing I want you to understand is I'm trying to define transformational leadership, and I'm saying transformational leadership is a special type of leadership. When the transformational pastor arrives in a parish, his first job is to learn how that parish looks like. Number two is to ask, where should that parish be going? If I'm here for 3 years, or if I'm here for 10 years, what will be the difference between now and then? And remember, parish is not the Christians in your church. Parish is a community from where the Christians come. What will be the difference? So if you can't analyze how your community looks like, you're not a transformational leader. Because you are likely to just come and repeat what the previous pastor did and then take your time and go. And many pastors do that. Am I right? You just find out what was happening and continue doing it. So it means you don't have a vision. There's no way you're taking people. So the first thing we are saying in this definition is that you must know where people are at this time. Understand them. Number two, see where they could be. You know where they are now. You know where they could be. For example, maybe there is a lot of joblessness in your place. That's where they are. Please accept it. But is that where you want them to be by the time you leave? Maybe there are a lot of teenage pregnancies in your community. Is that where you want to be by the time you leave? Maybe there is a lot of quarrels within the church. Is that where you want to be towards the end? Where are they? Some of the things are good. For example, you come and find a church which gives a lot. It's very good at giving. So it becomes very difficult to imagine they can give even more. So you need to ask yourself exactly where do you want to see them by the time you leave the parish. Now, the only thing you need to understand, leader understands, is very difficult to move people from their comfort zone. They love the previous pastor. He was good to them. You come suggesting new things and they'll ask you to be moved. You are disturbing their peace. So a transformational leader is putting trouble onto himself. It's much easier to just come and stay and go without any trouble. The moment you become transformational, you are disturbing people's peace. You are moving them from their comfort zone. So what that means is that once you know where you want them to be, you must model that place where you want them to be. And your biggest role is to get them to accept that they can be what you are trying to picture. You must have a vision of the future, and that vision needs to come from your head to their head, and they have only entered their head when they stop talking about the reverend's vision and start talking about our vision. As long as you keep hearing them praise you, you haven't achieved. Because they now say it is so and so's thing. As soon as you are transferred, that project is dead. But if it's our project, if the new pastor wants to break it, he'll be in trouble. Are we together? Because they'll not keep saying the guy who was here did. Say our project. And that's a very difficult area. To get it from your head to where you have no credit. In fact, after you have gone, they may not even talk about it. They will not remember you are the one who told them. Because you are so successful in moving it from your head to their head, they can't even remember they are not the ones who said it. They start imagining they are the ones who came up with the project. That's what we call success. Moving it from your head to where it is in their head, and they no longer see you there. That means you're a real leader. Because Haggai is saying leadership is exerting special influence to move a group to where it should be, where there is permanent positive influence. In other words, not just an influence of that, but something that will last. So the issue is, how do you get a group? Number one, to take your vision. Number two, to agree strategies that will cost them something in moving the group to out of the area of comfort. That's now where our discussion comes in. Unless you have good character, they are not going to go with you. Because they say, we know, this guy has a cousin who is starting a school. No wonder he's so interested in children who are not getting schools. Because he wants to make money for his cousin. Will the project work? No. You try your best, it will not work. The moment people suspect you, you are done. Finished. And if you try insisting, there will be chaos in that church. We are going to see on Saturday evening with the newspaper showing the fight in your church. Because you are trying to move people where they don't want to go. So it's important to understand that without character, that's why we teach it as a first C, the first principle. Without character, you cannot transform a community to a new place. The only way you can transform them is to come with foreign money, God doing the new thing without their involvement. If you want them to be the ones involved, you must get a buy-in. And you cannot get a buy-in until they trust you. Are we together? So that's the biggest thing that we want to understand. So character is a critical thing. If you don't have it, many projects of the church are not going to work. I've already said this. To lead transformation, the leader should have a character that models the desired change. Effective transformation leaders are themselves in the process of being transformed. Good character is indispensable to the socio, political, economic, and cultural development of a nation. It is indispensable to the flourishing of businesses, the professions, and the cooperative activities of all kinds. Without character, a tiny number of people might gain money, power, and pleasure, possibly even over the long run. But they cannot achieve higher ends or well-being as a community without good character. Holistic development is impossible in a culture characterized by corruption and other characters. You will not see transformation of the country, of the community, until you have. So character is a critical thing. You know, there are many indices of character. But I want to emphasize to you, integrity is a key measure. You cannot claim to have good character if you have no integrity. You see, a person of integrity is one whose private and public lives are consistent. A person of integrity lives a wholesome and balanced, integrated, and coherent life. The transformation of character includes the process of confronting with truth to change our view of the world. Integrity comes from the word integer. Integer is something we are taught in mathematics, isn't it? What was an integer? 1. Are we together? So a person with integrity is a person who has oneness. What you see is what you get. He's not two people in one. And yet you know many people. To the wife, he is a fantastic guy. They are in love. They really enjoy company. At church, he is a terror, if not a terrorist. But so when the wife hears you talk about her husband, she wonders, who are you talking about? Because he seems to have integrity with the wife, but not integrity in the office. Are we together? To have integrity means to have oneness. You are the same person everywhere you go. And that is not true of many of us. You know, somebody said, and I agree with them, many of us need a very good memory. Why? What we say here is not what we say there. So you need a good memory to remember what you said last time. You know, when you are yourself all the time, you don't have to have a good memory. Because anytime, even if out of sleep, you ask, what is your name? You can't say 2 names. But if you have 2 names, you have to remember this one. Which name did I tell you? Integrity means you are the same person all the time. Now, once you have integrity, 3 things happen. Number one, you become predictable. You become predictable. It means I can almost guess if you ask who you are, what you will say. I can predict you. And that's a very, very important thing. If people are to trust you, you must be predictable. And that's a critical thing. Last Sunday I was speaking to the, is it called Nairobi? No? Presbytery? The one that goes towards Karen. What is it called? South. Who was there last Saturday? Milimani South. Who was there last Saturday? They are not here. So I can repeat the story. And I was telling them how over 20 years ago, in the early 90s, I just saw my name in the Kenya Gazette. I was appointed a director in one of the parastatals. And I struggled because of the amount of corruption there was in that Moi era. And I didn't want my name to be deducted. Till somebody told me, you refuse to become a director, you lose the right to ever criticize Moi. Because God gave you an opportunity to help him. You refused. I realized I'm in trouble. I refuse, a problem. I accept, a problem. It doesn't matter what decision. So we prayed with my wife and finally I accepted it. And I went to the board. One of those times I was walking the street and I bumped on one of my friends. I left the university in the 1970s. So I left for a friend. Hey, Nganga, I hear you are now a director in a rich parastatal. Said, oh, you read because it was in the Kenya Gazette. You read? Said, no, I didn't read. I was told by one of your friends. But I want to tell you what else he said. He said, you know, Nganga has joined that board. We shall not benefit in any way. In other words, they discussed it among themselves and said, there is no benefit in Nganga becoming a director. There is no way of benefit. And I said, you mean you can predict me like that? Oh, yeah, they said, no need. Nganga becoming director, no need. I know they were right. I cannot use public money to benefit my friends and still have a good name. Are we together? So, it is actually useless for your friend to become a big man. Because you know he will never help you. That's predictable, isn't it? He can tell you there is food, but he can't share that food to you privately. Are we together? So it's important to understand, are you that predictable? Are you that predictable? Where somebody can tell there is nothing, you yourself will not benefit. What's worse, you cannot even help them to benefit. So being in a parastatal, very rich, 1 million of shillings, is not of any use to you. I never gained a single thing when I stayed in the board. We'll go for a board meeting, then you'll be given an envelope with 1,000 shillings. And I used to say that's just enough to pass through Tintin. I was working for Shell in Shell BP House, the current Deputy Prime Minister's office. So my office was, you pass through Tintin, take a meal, which was 1,000 shillings, go through the toilet, the money is gone. And I started learning, I have no idea why people are fighting to join parastatal boards. And you know people fight? There must be something else other than the allowance. Thereafter. Would you agree with me? Yes. So it's important, and that includes even the pastors in boards. Not just, don't just blame the politicians. All of them say, for sure, they can't be here for nothing. So it's important to understand, you are predictable. Another example of this idea of people can predict you. My daughter did KCPE. I know my friends from the university married a little behind me. And they were coming to visit with the son. And you know the way families visit each other. We were busy as parents talking, and the children in the beginning of their teenagers are talking outside. Later I learned from my daughter, the son of my friend, remember we are all born again, and we were born again from the 70s. This is now the 90s. We were born again in the 70s university. The son of this man told my daughter, who had more than 500 marks, said, "What? You got good marks." It's only unfortunate you are the father you have. Remember, these are young teens. It's only a problem the father you have. Why? With that kind of marks, it was me. I'll go to any school in Kenya. My father could get me. But it's yours. Sorry. So I was asking my daughter, what do you think? I did not go. It's true. Now, even my daughter knows I'm useless. They know there is no way remember, I'm the chief patron of KSF. So I know many headmasters. I know many headmistresses. But I would never want a headmistress to simply steal away somebody else's possession so that my daughter gets her. I want her marks to get her place. So that when she's a Form 1, she can praise the Lord rather than praise her father. And that's what I've taught my children, isn't it? Now, so that, but what surprised me is the age of this small boy. Remember, you're talking about a good name. It's better than high schools. Are you getting the point? That's what you're talking about. So if you are really going to have good character, it has a cost. Yes. Are we together? Yes. And I'm telling you, the first thing is, it will make you predictable. Anybody can know what you will do. They know very well what will happen. You go to a new organization, you end up in Milele. Is this a place called Milele? Yes. You enter Milele as a general manager with a Volkswagen, and you graduate with a Volkswagen. When you find a transfer, you still have only a Volkswagen. Because other than your salary, you got nothing else. Not many people are predictable. Am I right? Yes. They are not predictable. So it's important to understand when you are talking about good character, you are going to be somebody predictable. Number 2 or 3, you are going to be somebody transparent. You are going to be somebody transparent. That means what you see is what you get. You are transparent. There are no hidden things and complications. You are just transparent. That's what it means to have oneness. Because you see, the reason why you become opaque is because you are different things at different places, and you are different things to different people. So when you are dealing with these ones, you have to hide some parts, isn't it? Transparency means you don't mind what they see, because basically that is you. You are transparent. And of course it will give you consistency. The other thing it will give you is consistency. So it's important to ask yourself, are you ready? Is that how you are measured? Rest assured, if you are measured like that, people want to follow you. Because the result of what I'm describing in integrity is trust. You know very well, and what happens when people get trust? You tell them, no, I need you next Sunday to be the one preaching. You don't start asking, but here the pastor, is it you are being lazy? What happened? You will say yes. The explanations come later. Are we together? But if I'm suspicious, why? Now, a leader who is not trusted suffers like Kenyatta without bitterness. Because everybody is asking questions, isn't it? When you have trust, you have a very easy time. It's not that, by the way, you never told me what is happening next Sunday. But everybody accepted. Because you do not expect anything suspicious in that leader at all. And that's why they are following you. Please understand the difference between a manager and a leader. A manager has subordinates. A leader has followers. And that's the biggest difference between the two. Many pastors are managers. The reason people do things is because they fear you. They don't want you to excommunicate them. So they know that the PCA is an organization of order. So they fear what you might say they're out of order. Now, so that's why but you are a manager. A manager has subordinates. A leader has followers. And that word follower is the biggest problem. Because a follower can only be called a follower if he is coming behind you voluntarily. Are we together? As long as he is coming because of another reason, that's a manager, and it will be critical to understand that. I like giving an example of shepherds, because if you came to my place in late 1950s as a small boy and early 60s, my job was to look after sheep, my grandfather's sheep. The other day, I haven't been to Israel myself, but the other day I heard somebody who went to Israel and said he was in a hotel at the top, and early in the morning he was looking, and he saw somebody, from a hotel top you can see very far. So he saw somebody opening the pen for where the sheep were. He opened and he didn't go inside. He came outside. Never looked at the sheep, he just walked. And the sheep followed. Exactly as per John chapter 10. He said he stopped going to the bathroom just to watch. They followed him, he calves, they follow. He calves, they follow. He followed until they disappeared and to a place where he opened for the sheep. Now, I was a shepherd myself. What I used to do, I would enter, I would open, the sheep would not come out. I would go inside and twang at them until where I wanted them to go. That's what we thought the shepherd is. It's a total. So when you read there John chapter 10, the good shepherd, say, sure, this is a strange one. How do you go? We normally go behind, we don't go ahead. Now, managers twanga sheep. So by the end of the day, the sheep are tired and the shepherd is also because of twangering them. But good shepherds are people who become leaders. They go and the sheep follow. Am I communicating? And that's why it is that's why this whole issue. You cannot bring transformation to a community until you achieve that level. And you can't achieve that level where people just want to follow you. Until when you go to a parish or a CAC session, is that the right word? And you are a leader and you have a vision, the thing is passed within minutes. Why? They trust you, isn't it? When they are suspicious of you, you will be there until midnight. You'll be tired and you also, because the sheep are being twangled. So at the end of the day, both of you will not sleep. It all has to do with, do you have the trust? And only character can give you trust. And it's an expensive thing. You cannot get trust next until you live a sacrificial life. You must be ready for sacrificial life, where they don't gain anything other than your salary. If you gain something out of your parish, you're in trouble. Even if you don't feel it, but you start accepting gifts, regular gifts from your parishioners. In other words, instead of giving the offering, they normally bring to your pocket. So your pocket has become the recipient of the offering. Does that happen? Does it happen? The moment you do that, you are no longer a leader. Because the reason they are not giving there is because they want to buy you. And once you are bought, you are not a leader. Are you getting my point? The one who pays decides the tune of the piper. Have you heard of that? Yes. And many pastors only play the tune of the one who pays. Am I communicating? But it's not something you are doing intentionally. In fact, you can't discover. They give you very slowly. The other day I was given a contract by the government to train parastators who wanted that all government parastators will go through training in Mombasa. And I was very surprised when I was called by the government and given a contract to train all directors of boats on how to run ethical businesses. And they were in Continental Hotel in Mombasa. So every Wednesday, I flew to Mombasa every Wednesday from September until December. Sometimes God opens opportunity. I was telling my wife, even if they didn't pay me, I would still want to. This opportunity I would want to do without any pay. But they were paying me. That's what God can do. But you see, one of the things that really gave them trouble was one of the things I said in my presentation. That all gifts from people you work with or work for are bribes. You never ever get a gift from somebody you work for or work with. And I told them I discovered that. In the 80s, I used to be in charge of aviation. And Shell, my employer, had 100% market share in aviation. The whole of Houston Airport, only Shell fuel worked. Department of Defense, all Air Forces in Nanyuki, here in Isili, all of them bought from Shell. We had 100% market share. The only place we shared is now International Airlines. So my name was very good. I was a young man. You can see I'm a young man, so I was a much younger man. That years ago. But my name, you hear, I would, those are the days of telephones in the house. My wife will get a call, because the aircraft can be anywhere in the world. And somebody says, oh, this Captain so-and-so talking. Your husband is a great friend of mine. My wife knew I had many friends. And on December, all of them want to give me gifts. You get all kinds of gifts. And I remove the card, the Christmas card, and I tell the messenger to go back with a gift. So I said, now how can you do this? You are my friend. I said, we are friends. But unfortunately, this is the wrong time to give me. Once I'm out of aviation, your gifts are now welcome. One day, I was transferred out of aviation into other areas. I waited for a gift. Not a single one came. After a number of years, I got to a person, we meet with the captain. He says, oh, what happened? I moved. But here you know where I'm sitting in Shell. Not even one gift. That is years ago. Up to now, I've never received all those travels every year. Really feeling offended that I'm not accepting gifts. Nobody has ever offered me a gift. What does that tell you? They were never gifts. What were they? Right. The moment he knew I have no influence in aviation, they did not see why they should give me the gift. So that was not a gift. Then I became in charge of logistics. And so all transporters, all those people with tankers were my clients. And every one of them. Oh, I was in Dubai. I still remember one watch that really brought trouble. Because you see, over time you become real friends. And this one was such a close friend, a Somali, that I found it very difficult. Because he said, I just looked at it and I thought, you and your wife need a good watch. And it's not a bribe. Please remember, Mr. Nganga, I know you are stand as a Christian. I can't bribe you. But surely, how would I forget it? You know, I failed. I accepted the thing. Because now, you know when you refuse, you are implying you are not friends. So I finally accepted. I went home. My wife was so impressed with our gold watch. She puts it, says, you know, you never bought me anything like that, which is true. Now she was so happy. She was so happy with the watch. At night, it came back to me. My definition of all gifts are from now onwards, and I speak a lot in universities and everywhere, I will never be able to say I don't accept bribes. So in the morning, as embarrassed as I was, I had to negotiate with my wife. I reminded her we love the Lord, which she is aware of. She is aware of. And you say, you know that watch? How is it? Oh my! It's, even at night it sees. I wake up to look. You know those watches. You can see the time in the night, in the darkness. You don't have to put on the lights. It's fantastic. I say, as fantastic as it is, we need to give it back. We returned it because it was in a package, and we had not thrown away the package. Say, let's return the whole thing back to the package. We need to get it back. I said, why? I said, we better look for money. I buy you another one, but this one we can't keep. And then I explained. I think that's when I learned it is dangerous to marry a non-Christian. Because see, now that he is saved, he understands what I am talking about. So we packed our watches. Now the next thing was the toughness of returning it to the owner. But you know, the problem would have been with the wife first. But once she learned the spiritual implications, she was able to remove it and give it back to me. Now the next thing was to call the guy, the person who brought it, and say, I have to apologize in advance for what I'm about to do. I would not think it is right for anybody to do that to me. But I can't have peace if I stay with this watch. Please accept it back. Because I know you have good intentions. But once I accept from you, I have no right to refuse from another one. So I can't. So it was a very embarrassing thing, but I finally returned it. Now, and I kept saying, when I retire, all these transporters are now free. You know, you can now give them. They are rich people. Remember, one tanker, the six axle is about 15 million shillings. So even if you own one tanker, you're already a millionaire. Even if it's on loan, 10% of 15 million is 1.5 million. So basically, you're millionaires. So I thought, wow. I have now been out. I retired. I'm becoming 64 this year, and I retired at 55. So I've been retired for many years. Not even one has ever given me a gift. Nobody has ever given me a gift at all. Now I know. All those troubles were bribes. Am I communicating? Never cheat yourself. Never cheat yourself. And even you are aware. You move from one parish to another parish. When you are inside that parish, they keep bringing every day. You are struggling to refuse until you are transferred to Tanzania. You never get any gift. Am I communicating? Yes. So you need to be aware all that is corruption. And many pastors are corrupt. So you need to be aware. We are talking about character. We are talking about character. We are talking about character. And we are saying integrity means anyway. I didn't know they are elders. You mean there's some elders here? Of course, elders have even more access to the money, isn't it? So those are possibilities. So I am saying then, trust is a currency of influence. And influence gives power to the leader. So what we are talking about is, how do you get trust so that you can move people to a better place? Character is an inherent complex of attributes that determine a person's moral values, ethical actions, and reactions. So I want now to move, why do you behave the way you do? Please understand, when you see somebody behave badly, never deal with that behavior. Behavior is not the problem. Go back somewhere to find out what is his attitude. The attitude determines behavior. After you understand the attitude, don't bother with the attitude. Go to the belief system that determines the attitude, and the attitude that determines behavior. For example, if you believe short people can't talk sense, and then a short person becomes a presenter, immediately you see him, you fold your hand, you sit back, you know you are going to hear, and it's not something you are thinking, you are not even conscious. There's a way you sit that allows you to just relax, because now you are not going to get much. Why? Your attitude to short people is they don't say much, isn't it? So your behavior, and even start dozing. Do you know there are people when they preach, you can't go to the third sentence. You doze on the second. Because you don't expect much. So the eyes just start closing on their own. It all has to do with the attitude about that person. So you need to go beyond the attitude and find out, why did that attitude come? There is a belief system that causes him to have that attitude. The moment that belief system changes, they will change. It's the same thing. There are people who cannot be led by women. They simply have a problem. You send them a woman to the parish, and my friend, they just say, we are finished. Because there is a problem with their attitude to women. But the attitude to women is not the problem, it's a belief system. Maybe they agree with you, like me, with my grandfather, who was already a mature person by 1900. So by the time I was born in the beginning of the 50s, he was already a very old man by the time I was born. But he was there before the Muzungu arrived in Kenya. And he kept telling me a very clear thing. He told me, now let me say that in English. If a woman says something, and an uncircumcised boy, don't take it seriously. Except once in a while, it might turn out to be true. But it's rare. If you grow up with that kind of thing, can you see, it will be very difficult to take a woman seriously. Because you know naturally they are not sensible. Except once in a while, they might surprise you by being sensible. Now, it's a belief system. The attitude to women will be a problem. Now, and my grandfather kept it until he was about to die. Now, when I was already a married man with children, I was run from home. I'm from Nyandarua. Because he fell. He was now over 100. And he fell and broke his arm. They rushed him to Naivasha Hospital. That was a big hospital then in southern Nyandarua. And only for a lady to be the one to do the plaster. The moment when he was taken back home, he started working on it to remove it. So they rang me because he respected me. I drove to Nyandarua and I said, Grandpa, what are you doing? He says, Johnny. He used to call me Johnny. Johnny. Is the Kairetu? It's a girl. Can you imagine? Do you think they can never know. They were unable to find a man. They gave me a cow to put this in. It can't work. It was put by a cow. I tried to explain how the plaster works, what the theory behind plasters. All of that didn't work. Even after I left, he now completed. And the whole thing. And you couldn't take him back to the office. He died with the heart exactly the same way. I'm getting the point? That's what I believe can do. Your behavior is determined by your attitude. Your attitude is determined by your belief. And until your belief changes, you will come off age, behave like, but when you are taken back to a corner, you will be yourself. So if you want to deal with your character, with your values, that is the youth, the word, utility, moral virtue, and aesthetics. So what are your values? What are your beliefs? Values are the core of what a person believes and are chosen freely after consideration of alternatives and consequences. Ethic is the outward manifestation, the acting out of the belief. Followers of a leader will lose trust quickly if they observe attitudes and behaviors that do not match express ethical standards and values. In other words, if your values are different from what I believe are good values, then I don't believe your character is good. Are we together? And that's something that we have to know about. One of the big problems, if you read my book, the book on corruption, I argue a lot of our troubles. It's called Integrated, the Litmus Test of Good Leadership. I argue our big problem is that Kenya has been Christianized, but hasn't yet gotten biblical values. You can be a Christian without biblical values. So that what you believe is the same. Let me give you an example that I give in my book. Kikuyus believe it is terrible to steal. Terrible to steal. Their values, if you grew up among the Kikuyus, they hate you so badly that if they caught you stealing, you'll be put on a hill, put in a beehive, then you put dry leaves, and then you are put to roll. That means, and set on fire. So if you drown out of the fire, you die out of crashing. You drown out of the crashing, you die out of drowning, because you are going to the river. They wanted you to die properly. That's how badly they hated thieves. The same Kikuyus. So if you stole a cow from your neighbor, that's what they did to you. If you took a cow from a island and you were able to bring it home, the girls formed a song for you. Jaba. Now the same thing, you are both thieves. One stole from a Kikuyu, another one stole from Masai. The thief from Masai was called Jaba. Can you see the difference? So that in the Kikuyu traditional belief system, stealing is when you steal from your community. When you steal from outside, it's not stealing. That's why you'll find a moderator, not this one, invited to open the house of a young boy who joined the government just the other day, and is now opening a new house in his area. You know the salary he earns in the government. That's 1,000 per month. Within 3 years, he has put up a building worth 20 million without a loan. And now the moderator is one opening the house. The whole community knows the boy must have stolen. But he's not a thief. Because he never stole from his community. He stole from no, our belief system is that if you don't steal from your community, you are not a. That's why they'll be praising the Lord for how wonderful the young people we are getting. And of course, by the time he builds a house worth 20 million, he has a tithe, another 1 million to the church, isn't it? So the moderator is hearing all kinds of things the young man has already done. But everybody knows at the salary he has, he's a man stolen. But he's not a thief. Because he never stole from his own. And you know, I'm sure even the whole community, nobody asks the question. If the moderator refused to open the house, he will get a delegation from the elders. Some of them seated here. To be told, surely you are interfering with our young people who are growing. We must encourage them. Encourage them to do what? To steal outside. Because the belief system is what happens. What you believe will finally come out in your behavior. Are we together? Yeah. So you need to ask yourself, what are those belief systems? People are fully Christian, yet they do them, isn't it? So, one of the things I was saying last Saturday at that meeting of Milimani South is that we have been unable as Christians to theologize on our traditions. Because our traditions are two sorts. They are traditional practices and there is a belief system. Religious, there's something called Kikuyu religion and there's Kikuyu culture. You have to determine that with the day you become a Christian, all Kikuyu beliefs disappear. You are only left with Kikuyu practices. For example, you don't stop eating mokimo because you have become a Christian. Because that's not a belief. I tell young people, when you want to know the difference between a religion and a tradition, ask your parent, if I don't do this, will anything wrong happen? Most of them like eating mokimo. Here, you just laugh, isn't it? But there's something he tells you, I don't want to tell you, but that's a serious thing. Now, the moment the parent says something wrong could happen, tells you that thing is not practice, it's religion. And many people are still practicing things which the traditional Kikuyu knows, then when you do them, you get blessed. If you don't do them, it's either Dahu or Kirumi or Mugiro. If you're a Kikuyu, you understand what I'm talking about. So the things that are Dahu, Mugiro, or Kirumi, all of those are religion. At the moment you stop doing them, people know why you are blessed. It's not because of Jesus. It's because you don't have Dahu, Mogiro, or Kirumi. And so you're having people that are in Christianity, but the other one. The other day I was speaking in a PCMF meeting. And I was asked, I don't know if this is your church, since I can't remember everybody. I was asked, is it okay for a man, Kikuyu man, to join Kiama? Now I asked, what happened to the body after you give it? What do they do to it?
They eat it.
How do they eat it?
Slaughter.
They slaughter. Why do they slaughter? To shed blood. Now, where the blood is involved, that's religion. Are we together? Yes. So, if you cannot become a Kiama man without the body, that means it's not difficult. It's impossible for a born-again believer to become a Kikuyu elder. You have to make a choice, isn't it? Yeah. The moment you join the thing, never claim you are going to heaven. It's a declaration of your way to hell. There is no way. There's no way you can be in one. You can't be in two religions. If you have chosen to be protected by the blood of Kikuyu both, don't expect to be protected by the blood of Jesus, isn't it? I'm talking about our belief system is determining what you are. Is that the same thing with the Guradio? You see, you can do everything that is done. But they say, this wedding is not complete without a Guradio. The other day, a friend of mine told the mother, why can't I buy you meat from the butchery? He said, don't be a fool. You don't give Guradio by meat from the butchery. What do? Kill it. Because the word Guradio means, Kogurara means, those are what you use. Kogurara means to shed blood. So you cannot have Guradio without shedding blood. Then you cannot be a Christian and do a Guradio for your marriage. Impossible. The day you do Guradio, you backslide. But the good thing is, Jesus forgives. The good thing is, you must differentiate Kikuyu traditions and Kikuyu religion. The moment you are doing Kikuyu religion, you are not a Christian, isn't it? It's important. So we are saying, if you talk about the character, the good character we are talking about, is Christian character. Are we together? Yes. When I'm training people who are not in a Christian place, I don't use those words. But basically, we believe it's the Bible that talks about what's a good character. And I'm saying your character will be based on your belief system. So you must go back to change your belief system, so that your character will be the character we are talking about. The word character in Greek refers to an engraving instrument. So, character then is engraving. You have become a new engraving, so that anything you stamp will look like you. You behave in a certain way. Anywhere you go. That's why people can predict you. Every time you make a decision, you make an impression that allows you. So it is the various decisions determine your character, isn't it? And we could go on. As with the character, even the best artist has an errant stroke. So we are saying it's possible to make a mistake. When you do make a mistake, you must be willing to accept the mistake and correct the mistake. We slip, we should apologize and seek forgiveness. Do you know, persons who are people trust are people who are vulnerable, isn't it? Yes. When they make a mistake, they say, I have made a mistake. Then average person, especially if you're a pastor, you make a mistake. Chances are you will make fun of it and kind of explain it away. You think people are with you, but they know. He's just like us. You have lost your name. If you owned up and said, I did wrong, you know you are sorted out. I used to live here. I was a share manager in Kisumu, and the church I was going. A young man who was wedding was somebody reported in the church that the girl had been seen in his house, and they are born again. Had been in the house until 10 o'clock in the night. So the pastor was asked, you must sort it out. So he called the boy. He said, is it true that your girlfriend, and I didn't hear in the time of the wedding, was in your house? If you hear that again, I'm no longer going to participate in your wedding. The boy said, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Says, the day you try to do that, I have a dossier of how you yourself wedded. I know exactly how you got Mama so and so. If you don't want the church to know, you know what to do. That's the last time we heard of that case. The guy was wedded normally in a holy wedding. Now you need to understand, all that man needed is to come in the church and own up. Say God is a forgiving God. What you hear me telling young people is not what I did. I failed. And they said, here, forgiving God. He has forgiven me. That would have been the end of the blackmail. Am I right? Mm-hmm. So we are saying if you have good character is not perfection. Good character is willingness to say, I'm off the line. Own up to everybody. And you will see, they will accept you much as God forgives. People will accept you, but he said it. Are you sure? He did. They realize you can't be like them. Because the average person only confesses something if they are caught, isn't it? You have confessed even before they have caught you. It will make a difference. So we are saying, if you want good character, that's what you need to do. Let's now go quickly, because I wanted to give that background. The rest of it, I will not spend time on it. So good character, we have said, includes integrity. It also includes motive. Not what you do, but why you do it. We can always tell by the motive. Number 3, credibility. Are you credible? Number 3, habit. What do you do regularly? If most of the time you are doing the wrong things, and once you do a good thing, overall we believe your character is bad, isn't it? And those are things that you. General comments on the question of leadership. Now, but maybe we should. Legacy is the thing I left out. Legacy, what will finally remain? Leadership is influence. Generally, people are put off by leaders who practice and character and are of ill repute. Most people are influenced by good role models whose character they adhere to. Examples of admirable characters attributes traits are good citizenship. Character is a result of the discipline of good self-management. Self-management is needed before you can manage. In other words, manage yourself well before you can manage others. That's what we are saying. Now, let's now quickly just ask, where can you get good character? Now, I wanted us to do this exercise. I would like you to do it on your own, because we don't have the time. Think of a person who influenced who you are today. Just think, who is it? Who influenced who you are today? What value do you hold that was influenced by him? Sometimes you don't know now, but I would like you to think through. So although we are not going to do the exercise here, find out what did God use? Because he may have talked with a voice from heaven, but most likely it is somebody he used to influence you. What in him or her did you admire so that you wanted to be like him? What are the sources of the concept and substance of the character you now have? So you need to verify what are your values. How did you get the values? What in that person made you so admirable that you got it? You know, I keep telling young people, who your celeb is will soon influence who you are. If you think somebody is great, you know, like you say, that is, in other words, I can't do that, but I understand why he. Now that is, you are only one step towards doing it. The moment you understand why he did it, the implications are, don't condemn him. Now, in other words, don't say it is bad. It's understandable in the circumstances. Means that even you, when you end up in the same circumstance, you are going to behave in a similar manner. So we are saying, you need to find out, because the most critical thing is admiration. Nobody will follow you if they don't admire you. Trust you and admire you. And I'm telling you, go back and find out what has influenced you. You see, the first source of good character is nature. When you say somebody is good, we say he is behaving according to nature. The reason why we are against homosexuality, number one is because the Bible is against it. But number two is because it's unnatural. You have never heard of a he-goat marrying another he-goat. Now, so it's not natural for a man to marry another man. So when you say somebody is good, it's because they are behaving according to what is natural. So nature gives us what good character is. Then order. Or nature follows order. The difference between a garden and the wild is not so much what is in them. Because even in a bush, you can have flowers, isn't it? The only difference is in a flower garden, you sort out and you put this type of flower in one place. So order is a sign of good character. If somebody is disorderly, you don't regard him as having good, because he is not behaving naturally. Beauty. There's a way nature tells us what is beauty. And you don't say somebody is beautiful, you don't say somebody is good, if they don't appreciate what is beautiful. Perfection. And we agreed, good character does not mean perfection. But it means you don't measure yourself against another person. You aim at the best, even if you don't reach it. You don't just say, but you know, I'm only an elder. I can't be like the pastor, because the pastor happens to be your standard. You need to aim at perfection. That means even if you are better than the pastor, you are still not good enough until you reach God's perfection. You know, the other day I was asked by a young businessman, when I kept saying, you can't do that, he said, but Brother Nanga, surely, does God expect us to be perfect? I said, it's written in the Bible, isn't it? Be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So we are talking about, if you start following nature, then you aim at the very best, perfection. Then satisfaction. There is a sense of balance in creation, where things that were created need one another. There's a kind of a satisfaction, each serving the other, and you'll be in a similar way. Then identity. The pursuit of identity is an essential factor in social organization. We all want to answer the question on who are we? Through how we present ourselves to society. If you really are going to have a good character, you must have self-identity. If you don't know who you are, it's dangerous. And you know, many of us are like that. We preach a sermon. And I think, did you like it? Was it good? Now, if you don't even know whether it's a good sermon yourself, you are in trouble, isn't it? You need to know what a good sermon is like. Yourself. Between you and the Holy Spirit. You must know what is a good sermon is. And I'm not saying you don't accept feedback. I'm only saying you yourself must know a good sermon. Because if you are, for example, preaching in a church that isn't very evangelical, very something, will they like you when you tell them to get saved? Will they like it? Will you change your sermon? If you don't know who you are, you will change it. Am I right? So it's important to understand, you must, if you want good character, you must establish, who does God say you are? Who do you accept you are? At that point, when you meet people, it doesn't bother you. It's my wife, when she's talking to young ladies, tells them, there is something God gave us that's very critical called a mirror. When you dress, look at yourself in a mirror. If you like yourself, don't wait for boys to tell you whether they like you or don't. Because you like yourself, isn't it? The moment you like boys, they'll play with you. Hiya, that dress is so wonderful. You are so good. And by that time, you are naked. Now, you need to understand. You need to understand, you yourself must know who you are. It will be very important that you establish that. That doesn't mean everybody will like you. But you must know. Then a sense of security. The thing that helped me in my working life was the day I discovered that I don't have a job in Shell by somebody's favor. God appointed me to that place. So when I fought with transporters and they wanted me fired, I knew I am not fireable. Is that English? I am not? Why? I believe God has appointed me. If they try to fire me, they are putting themselves into trouble. I still remember one boss where the contractors went to him and said, no, we can't work with this young man. Hey, not blah, 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 blah. So he came and told me, if you don't change, I'll fire you. I said, but if only you told me what I'm doing wrong, I'd want to change. If you don't, then it's okay. He thought by frightening me, I'll start accepting the bribes and talking to the contractors. I wasn't going to change. Just when I went and told Rebecca, now I know I'm not likely to last. Because that's at top. I was in middle management. He was in top management. There's nowhere else to apply. The only reason I continued on my line is because of the belief I have security in God. That I am not here because I'm better or worse. God has put me here. I know the story of that man was very unfortunate. He threatened me in June. By August, I was on leave. And I was told by one of my workmates, called me from the office and told me, your boss is no longer your boss. What happened? He has been transferred to another area. I did not pray he's transferred. I was preparing to go wherever. But I told my wife, I will not resign. I will wait until they fire me. Because then, I'm sure God has an opening somewhere. Because I thought, surely, because he's the top, and he said both of us cannot work in the same place, I knew it was me to go and him to stay. In August, he was removed. In October, he resigned. So within June to October, he was right. Both of us were not working together. So it's not a story I'm giving. And I can tell you, until you get a sense of God's direction, you will never have security. So the elders will move you like my Mary. Because basically that's what the congregation will do. You have no direction. Because you don't know where you are going. Hiya, they might remove me. You are not removable. If God is the one who put you there. Now, until you have that, I keep telling people, corruption is your way. Only security gives you ability to say no to corruption. So it's important to understand that because they work on you. And I understood. When I was working, the first thing they tried to do is to bribe me. One, I became district manager about 25 years ago. And the first thing they tried is to bribe me. The day they didn't bribe me, the next thing they tried is to get me fired. When my boss was finally removed and I wasn't fired, the next thing was threatening my own life. Someone has kept a gun on my table to tell me clearly, he's not joking. If I affect his contract, I need to understand. So since he thinks I'm not noticing it, those people normally have something white here. So he puts it on the table for me to see. And then he shows me an ID to tell me he's in police reserve. If you're in police reserve, means you kill and you'll be a wanted criminal, isn't it? And I knew he's not joking. I can tell you until you have security to know you cannot die one day earlier. You're giving, isn't it? Now, after all, you start imagining my children are young. That time they were in primary school. I think the first one had not entered high school. And I realized I leave them. How will they be educated? I'm being a fool. After all, this is not my work. And even the boss wants me. No. The moment death, one of the ways of knowing you are not saved is your view of death. But the Hebrews tells us Jesus came to rescue us who all our lives lived at the fear of death. One of the main missions of Jesus is to remove the fear of death. So if you fear death, he hasn't worked on you. Are we together? We still need to pray for you. We need to counsel you. So you cannot fear death and be a Christian. But please understand me. It doesn't mean fear pain. Pain is okay to fear. That's why you need pain so that you can go to a doctor, isn't it? But there's a difference between fearing pain and fearing death. So even a Christian can fear pain, but a Christian cannot fear death. And once, because that's progression. They normally try to get you, to bribe you. If they can't fire you, they try to get you fired. If they can't get you, they actually try to kill you. And many people have died. Am I right? That's why I knew they were not joking. I told one of them was Kikuyu, said, I said, I understand. Driving my small car, all you need to tell one of your tankers to tilt a little after I pass. And I'll be thrown down, isn't it? So I told him, I know that. But I asked him, where you come from? Have you had people who say that they would like to go to heaven? And the earlier, the better. He jumped out of my office. But you need to understand, we became friends. Up to today, we are still friends. When he discovered I'm ready to die, what can you do with somebody ready to die? Is that why the suicide bombers are so powerful? You need to understand Christians are like suicide bombers. You can do something you know clearly will bring you death. But because many people don't want to kill you, they are helpless, isn't it? They wanted to threaten you with the death, but don't actually want. How do I know that? Because I was threatened by many. I'm still alive to tell you. And it's not that they were unable to kill me. They showed me guns. It's because they realized I don't fear death. So you need to understand, if you are talking about this character, as long as you love your job and you feel like to be a pastor is such a big thing, if you are fired, who would I be? That means you don't know yourself. You think you are your job. You know, you ask somebody, who are you? Pastor. That's not what you are. That's a job you do. A lot of people have stopped being human beings. They are human doings. So they don't tell you who they are. They tell you what they do. They are no longer human beings. They are human doings. So you need to understand, even if you are fired, deflocked, for the glory of God, you are still yourself, isn't it? So you cannot really fail to compromise. You cannot fail to compromise until you get this sorted out. This security issue sorted out. And it's a very important thing. Then significance. I told you what is success to you. How do you get significance? If you don't sort out that, you'll be tempted to corrupt your character. What's significance? Then, number 2, all that was the natural thing. Here, the second source of who you are is your conscience. Dhamiri. Is that what you call it in Kikuyu? And in Kimeru?
Kiswahili dhamiri.
It's also Kikuyu. And in Kimeru? What's conscience?
Dhamiri.
Oh, it's also Dhamiri? Okay, that means we don't know. Yeah, but what you are saying is, conscience is the thing that tells you what is right or wrong. It will determine your character. If your conscience is seared, the Bible tells us, then you call good bad and bad good. So you need to understand and sort out your conscience. Number 3, culture. Which culture do you come from? They are likely to score something bad and call it good. That's why you're having such difficulty. You know, we have even changed the name of circumcising girls. We call it, what is it called?
Rite of passage.
Female, genital mutilation. You know, it's such a bad name. You think people will stop. They are doing it even more, isn't it? Now you need to understand clearly culture. And it's all the question of culture. Have you had those girls being interviewed? Because sometimes you bring the mother. It is a girl running to where it's being done. Why? Their belief system is that you are not a woman until you are a cat. So lack of a cat makes her feel abnormal. So to feel normal, she goes for. That's what culture can do. And that's why I told you earlier, you must go through your culture and check. What does the Bible call good? What does the Bible call bad? And even if it's your culture, that's why you need to understand when you become Christians. We end up with one tribe. You'll be a Luo, you don't follow Luo religion. You'll be a Kikuyu, don't follow Kikuyu religion. I keep saying, no Kikuyu Christian will ever go to heaven. Not possible. Because if you are Kikuyu Christian, it means you are first of all a Kikuyu, then Christian. Only Christian Kikuyus will go to heaven. That means Kikuyu does not play a role. So, the same, if all of you are following the same, then a Luo, a Kikuyu, a Luya, who are first of all Christian, they have more in agreement than what they don't agree with. Am I together? And that's what the church in Kenya is failing to get. That's why it is not it's contributing to tribalism, because you haven't understood that idea of our culture. It gives us good and bad practices. Then religion. That's why a Muslim will become a suicide bomber, and then they are congratulated for it. Now, it's a belief, it's a religion. And that's why one of the things that happen is a lot of the cults that are being in Kenya, they call good bad and bad good. So you need to understand, all these are the things that are influencing what is good. Then globalization. Especially now with our TVs. Every something happens in America, it will known here by the evening. Are we together? Yes. And that's influencing what's good character. Then institution of law and order. What does parliament? And you know that's one of the problems with the parliament we have. They are starting to pass laws. Like now, if you are polygamous, you also have marriage certificate. Am I right? And unfortunately, the person who is the chairman of that committee is a friend of mine who is a brother in the Lord. I thought him, surely. How can you do that? Because the New Testament is clear. Polygamy is not the way to go. Are we together? But now it's been made legal. So it will start giving trouble to people in the church. Because they feel like they are as married as anybody else. All those. What is motivation for good character? Let me first of all discuss the ABC. There is what we call ABC of human motivation. Because motivation determines whether you have a good character. Humans are motivated by the desire. Number one, A is desire to achieve. B is a desire to belong. C is desire to control. People are generally motivated by the drive to achieve results, to belong to a community, or to control people and situations. Individuals and communities are motivated by these three factors to varying degrees. I told you from the beginning, your definition of success will determine your character. Remember? Because you want to achieve it. If you regard that as success, you want to achieve it. But this one is even more powerful. That's why you find even pastors who have joined Kikuyu Kiama. Have you heard of them? Yeah. Because you want to belong. So that you look like, hey, and if you're a woman, you are no longer Nyakangei, you are now Nyakenyua. Now, you need to go through the process. So that you are no longer Nyakangei, you are Nyakenyua. Now, that sense. And you know, the Kikuyus have a way of dealing with it. If you are not from the Kiama, and there is a party, there is a way they treat people who are not members of the... I'm getting my point. Yeah. So, if you really want that acceptance, my friend, you are just pretending to be in church. You will soon be doing things double. Some in church and some elsewhere. Because you want to belong. Remember, we are trying to say what influences character. That sense of belonging. You want to belong. It will be something that you... And then you want to control. Power. The highest form of motivation for leadership is the desire to serve others. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't have that. A desire to serve others. Next, understanding good character. Please understand, good character is godlikeness. Whatever you say about God, and I don't want to repeat it because this group said about it. Whatever you say about God must be what you said about the person. And it's also well summarized in the fruit of the Spirit. Number two, good character is other-centeredness. You are not self-centered, you are other-centered. Good character is rooted in coming to the place of living one's life in the interest and service of others. A person who is other-centered, we normally regard them as selfless, sacrificial, secure, service-oriented. There are people, when they sit, before they eat, do you have food? The others who, first of all, get satisfied, then say, oh, did you get? Now, the person who seems to care about others more, we normally say he has a good character. Am I right? So, that issue is something that we need to deal with. Good character and leadership. The leadership goodness can be seen in this. The following are some characteristics of leadership goodness. Number one is inner security. Again, I've spent a lot of time talking about security. Without it, there will be a problem. People will be able to play around with you like a birori. You know what birori is? The thing we used to play in the 50s and 60s. And keeps going around. A lot of pastors are played like a birori. Because they don't have inner security. They start thinking, if I don't, this is a friend of the moderator. If I don't behave right, he'll go and tell them. Now he can play you like a birori. Now, if you don't have inner security, you will never be yourself. You will not have good character. Vulnerability, integrity, approachability, transparency, dependability, endurance, and persistence. These are things that makes somebody admired, somebody followed. Once you have inner security, people try to move you, they realize they can't move you. They will follow you. If you are vulnerable, it means you are willing to take a risk, isn't it? And therefore you take a risk, you survive. That's a guy worth following. Integrity I've talked about quite a bit. Approachability. You know, there are people, because you don't want people to really know who you are, you make them out there. And you know, the church structures these days are helping us, isn't it? You go to preach in a church, you know they are the ones who are protecting you. You go to vestry first, then the protectors, you go in. Afterwards, you come to the vestry. By the time you come out, everybody has gone. That way you can't mix with people. They can only say, yeah, you preach to us. But they haven't met you. Some even want to ask you a question. They want you to pray for them. But the structure is keeping somebody protected from the people. Am I right? And I'm asking you to change. I'm only asking you to evaluate. It's important to understand that we are saying, if you want to be a leader, you must be approachable. Are we together? You must be approachable. You will not, because leading is a people business. So if they can't reach you, how will you lead them? You need to be available to everyone and able to mix with everyone. You know, last Sunday but one, I was preaching in Maseno University, and I flew, then I went by taxi from Kisumu Airport to preach, and I spoke. Then afterwards, they were taking me for lunch. I don't have a car. We are walking together, and they're apologizing. I say, apologizing of what? I have 2 legs, you have 2 legs. Where is the food? Let's go and eat. Because they feel like they need to apologize. How do they deal with this person? And many of them have read my books or telling me what they have read. So they have formed a picture of somebody unapproachable. They don't know how to handle it. See, just wait. When you realize they are not understanding how to treat you, you join them, isn't it? So you need to understand, if you are not willing to take the risk of being approachable, you are leading yourself. You are not leading others. You need to become approachable. Approachable. It will be very important that you understand that you need to have accountability, and accountability is a big issue. You know, somebody says, what happened to our money? Ask God. Now, we know God. We only want to ask you, what did you do with our money? You know, it's like some of us have not read what Paul said. Paul was doing a big project, raising funds for Jerusalem, in the book of 1 Corinthians. You know the story. When it was fully collected, he was going to be given the money to take to Jerusalem. He said, no. Appoint one of your people to go with me to Jerusalem. So we not only do the right thing, but we also seem to be doing the right thing. Have you read that in the Bible? How many pastors take that theology? You feel like if you ask for an imprest, and someone is trying to find out what you did with the imprest, he is not respecting you. You are not. You are human, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, when people hold you accountable, it's for your own good. Because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Never allow yourself to be in a place where there is nobody who can question you. That's the route the devil will take. You know, the other day I was in a church, not Presbyterian. Not in a church. I was training some leaders in Zambia, and I was teaching about governance, which you also cover here. And then I told people, I said, why don't you look at our governance from our church? So I said, how is your church governed? He said, we have a pastor, then we have appointed elders, and they report to the pastor. Then I asked, and who does the pastor report to? They started demanding. I think he tells that there is somebody who is his mentor. I said, I'm not looking for a mentor. I'm asking for somebody he reports to. And they couldn't find any. And I told them, that's bad governance. You never allow yourself to have nobody to answer. In the issues of marriage, make sure your wife holds you to account. If he says, who are you counseling? Sister Karaoke. For 3 hours. Don't you know I'm called by God? Now, that's not the subject. We also know you are human. And she is also a human. Give me in details. What exactly happened? If you don't talk, you are not yet a sinner. but you have begun the journey to sin. Am I communicating? That's what you mean by accountability. It is when people find you accountable that they say you have a good character and they follow you. One of the guys you have not heard of any scandal with is Billy Graham. Please study to find out what the difference between him and the other big names in America. You know, they are very simple things. One, he said you never be the woman, counseling a woman without another person available. Number two, he refused to handle money. Billy Graham Evangelist Association is one of the richest organizations in the world, but he only gets a salary. All the other guys own the money and decide how much to give to the ministry because it's their money. Billy Graham, the board sits to determine what salary to give him. For the last 60 years, because now he's 95 or 96, he gets a salary. And yet it is his name that brought the money. That's why you don't hear of scandal, because even if something happens, it has nothing to do with Graham. Is a committee that is handling. And I can go on. All I want to emphasize is that if you have no accountability, you may not be in sin yet. But the journey has started. That's what you're talking about, good character. You must ask yourself, can you know, everything you have came to you in three ways. Number one, you are given. If you are given, tell us by who and when. Number two, you bought it. Tell us where you got the money to buy it and what date you bought it. All other things in your house are stolen. There is no fourth way. And you cannot have good character. You cannot be a person with good character if you cannot account for your wealth. Are we together? You must be able to say how you got it. So all these things. When you look at the characteristics of leadership goodness, it becomes obvious that the statement good leadership comes from good people is actually true. Good leadership comes from good people. The foundation for leadership development should be the development of people of good, dependable, and strong character. Let's now go towards finishing and look at the topic of threats to your good character. You now have a good character. Number one is self-centeredness. The self-centered person thinks first about himself. Everything else comes second. When you do that, you will soon discover you are doing people the wrong thing. So you need to ask yourself, do you believe, and the way I have run out of time, but in order to enter here, like I gave you my example, the day I discovered that my children are not mine, I'm writing a book on stewardship. The day I discovered my children are not mine, they are God's children located to me for 20 years to look after on behalf of God. They come and I've only this my 37 years of marriage, and I was telling you the last Sunday I had the whole executive leadership of University of Nairobi Christian Union in my house, and I was telling them very interesting because they came and found me just me and Rebecca, and I told them this is not the way you have been. There used to be 3 children. When we started in 1979, I used to be the one saying, "Hey, the heck you, bring that." Then they came, and I became free. Not going to kitchen, I order. Then the other day, even the husband got married. Nobody is at home. Now these days when Rebecca wants to send, it's me who will send. Now, I realize the children are not part of the marriage. They were only visitors. Okay, long-term visitors, but they were still visitors. They are not part of it. Now when I discovered children belong to God, they are not my children, I now don't feel like I must compromise in order for the education of my children, or compromise. I'll do my best because I'm looking after them on honor to God. Aware that what God does not allow me to do, I don't have to do because He loves my children more than I even love them. Are we together? Because a lot of people compromise for the sake of their wrongly calling them their children, not understanding they are not their children, they belong to God. Your wife is not yours. It's allocated you for a little longer, but you are supposed to look after her on behalf of God. It is that sense that will make you free. rich or poor, that will not be the issue. You feel like, my God, that is Philippians 4:19, my God shall supply all your wants. Is that what your Bible says?
Needs.
It doesn't say wants. It says needs. According to his riches in, not according to your account in Barclays. So it means, even when my account has nothing, God can still supply. Like that one I told you, the government did. I didn't apply, I didn't ask, I didn't whatever. Then they paid for me once a week, a night in Mombasa, a flight to Mombasa, and my consultancy fees. Money I never asked for. Is that God providing? I need to understand clearly that God has committed himself to meet not some of my needs, but all my needs. And it does not relate on how my bank account is, how my pension looks like. When I reach my 40s, I say, no, you need to be careful. All your weekend send to university preaching. When did you prepare for retirement? And a little fear started coming to my head. Because once you are 45 and you are retiring at 55, hi, and I know those of you in your 60s, I know you retire at 65, am I right? Yes. Yeah, so you have started wondering, hi. You don't remember. Now you need to understand clearly. The moment I thought about it, I realized, no. If God, like I bought a piece of land, would God to plant potatoes, that's what he planted in Nyandarua. Then the day we have planned to go to plant, Kenyatta University calls me. And the struggle is, do I go to plant potatoes or go to speak at Kenyatta? I ask myself, how many people are still getting invitation from university to speak? Not many. Is there anything special about me? No. It's just a door God has. And since I'm only one body, I cannot be in kindergarten and KU at the same time. It just means God will look after my retirement. So I went and planted 8 acres of trees. Because I realized I can't plant potatoes. But the trees can grow. Even if I don't go, they'll still grow, isn't it? And now, waited on God. I've now been retired many years. I have never learned something. One of the things that I thought, because I used to travel and I share quite a lot. So I now prepare to minister in Kenya and be happy. I've been, after that, to my surprise, I've been to more countries than I was. Like last year I went to Zambia 4 times. And I had never gone to Zambia and at a shell. I also went to Ghana. I've been to Chad, where I've never been. I've been to Central Africa, where I've never been. God was able to provide because he doesn't depend on my pension. Am I communicating? Yes. So you need to understand the reason why you are finding you put somebody in charge of something, they start stealing it to prepare for retirement or to look after their children. Am I right? The other day, the other training, and we were told about the insurance problem. Is there an insurance problem? No, I think it's now sorted out. But that time I was told it was a problem. And it all has to do with somebody feeling the salary is too small. Small by whose standards? The Bible says, my God shall meet all your needs. According to his riches? When you get that, you never take something from the church that doesn't belong to you. Your salary, as little as it is, God will spread it to meet all your needs. Like the fish feeding 5,000. Are we together? That's what will really help. So self-centeredness is something you must deal with. Social pressure. Hey, you can't be that age and you are behaving just like that. Are you a fool? Now, you need to handle it. Many people of good character have been spoiled by the group you belong to. Never imagine that you can be in a group and they are not. If your father is a drunkard, I can't hold you accountable. You never apply to be born there. But I can know you by your friends. The people you keep company of. If they are crooks, don't tell me you're not a crook. Because there's a choice you have made, isn't it? Yes. And soon enough, again, Paul says in 5 Corinthians, he says, do not be deceived. Bad company spoils good character or good morals. So you need to understand, we are talking about character. Social pressure is something you deal with. Then culture and traditions, I've talked about it. The law of competition. This is a very important law. People think that they must always compete. And that's a very dangerous. We have been taught in our society, one of our culture is to always compete. Even children in your house. You're always comparing each child with another. Are we together? You know, when I had 3, when they were growing up, I'll never give you a prize for doing better than another. Because that doesn't prove. You know, for example, if somebody is bright, they'll be number 1 automatically. Am I right? Then the other one is not bright. They'll be number 5 from the back automatically. Now, why should you reward the one who is number 1 from the front? And you know the reason. In fact, the one number 5 from the back works very hard and comes number 5 from the back. Am I right? Yes. Now, if you are number 1 because you are clever, not because you worked hard, who should get the reward? God. So why are you misallocating the kid? Don't give a child who is only number 1 because of the grey matter, isn't it? Yes. So it's important. So I tell my children, no, I'll be getting marks against yourself. In other words, your improvement. I'll give you on the basis of improvement. So we'll meet all the 4 of us, I and the 3 children, and we calculate. Your performance last time, your performance this year, has it improved? The one who has improved, if you have improved most, and you know if you're number 1, you can't improve much. So it is this weak one who gets the higher price. Because you see, we now reward what? Hard work. Because that's your input. Brightness is not your input. It's somebody else's input. So it's important to understand this law of competition. Don't compete with other people. Compete with yourself. Become better and better than yourself. Because the moment you start competing with others, you want to cut corners to be better than them, isn't it? And yet I'm currently reading a book that is very critical of this idea of IQs. Because they say IQ measures academic prowess. But academic prowess is one thing. Many people who don't do well in IQ are great artists, isn't it? You try to ask that guy who has a high IQ to draw. They can't even draw a nose. Because their brightness is not about art, isn't it? But you don't reward art. Some is music. Some is whatever. And so he said, God has gifted us differently. Clever means whatever it is God has given. If you are doing well in the area of coding, then you are clever. Are you getting the point? So that if you look at your children, they are good children, but they don't do well in school. Shouldn't you reward them in the area of doing well, isn't it? Yeah. So it's important to understand this whole issue about competition. It causes a lot of people. Don't compete with another pastor. Don't compete with another parish. Make sure your parish is better every year, is better than it was. Not better than somebody else's parish, better than. Let your preaching be better. Not better than the other preacher, better than your. Yeah. So it's important that you understand. That will help you to have. Remember, you're looking for how to deal with the threat. Competition is a threat that will destroy you. Then, of course, there are metaphysical forces, spiritual forces. There are situations where behavior is run by negatively by metaphysical forces. In such cases, not everything can be explained rationally. And you need to deal with that because only the spiritual people can deal with it. Where the influence spoil your character is a fear of witchcraft. Am I right? And we behave like it is not there until we discover it's actually there. Now, we are now finishing by saying, how does character transformation take place? Number 1, I've talked about it. If you want to transform from your character now to a better character, the first one is self-awareness. Know who you are. Know your weaknesses. Do a SWOT analysis on yourself. Lack of self-awareness is the most serious limitation to character transformation. There are things we call blind spots, but I've run out of time. All of us have a place we call blind spot. Blind spot is something about you everybody else knows, but you don't. Sometimes you think you are strength, and people just laugh. They won't tell you. Because they know what you call your strength is actually you are. It's a blind spot, you don't see it. So you need self-awareness requires, and I've run out of time, not just yourself, but to have close friends whom you have given the right of interference. They can tell you the truth, even if you don't like it. So that you get to know who you really are. The other problem is you need to check your conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding are shaped by culture, experience, education, needs and factors. Your worldview. What's worldview? Worldview are the glasses through which we interpret life. We can be looking at the same thing, but you see something different. The example I'm giving is when one of my Mzungu friends came, and because we were doing some work in Mombasa, and I have a budget to entertain him, I told him, let's go to Tamarind. Those of you who have been to Tamarind, is a seafood restaurant. Very expensive. I have not seen a restaurant more expensive than the Tamarind. Actually they have a boat. As you are eating, you go around, by the time you finish food, you are back. But it's very expensive. The only trouble is, this is not expensive. When finally they ask you, hey, come and order. It's not on a paper. You go there and you start seeing ingangi kuma. You see the fresh things from they have just gotten them from the sea. And you see crabs coming out. And you say, which one? Surely, how can I eat ingangi? Now, I grew up knowing ingangi eat you. You don't eat them. Now, so here is somebody so happy. He say, Mr. thank you for bringing me here. And me, I'm wondering, what am I going to eat? What has made the difference? He grew up believing snails are edible. I grew up knowing, you can't eat that. That's what you call worldview. We are looking at the same snail. Him, he is watering. Me, I'm running away. All on the basis of your worldview. So you need to start checking your worldview, your belief system. So what you are saying is this. Check your conceptual understanding. Once you have gotten it, find out what the truthful one is. For example, maybe whenever you go to your home, your wife asks you, would you need some food? And you erupt. Sure, there's nothing wrong with the word. But it annoys you to the extent there will be no peace as you are eating. Now, there must be a conceptual understanding of the phrase, would you like the meal? That is different. You need to go back and find out, what happened? Maybe it's your father, whenever he asked for food, he was fighting. Or something. There is a story behind it. If you don't go backward and need to find out what causes you to do what you do, then you'll not ever change. Don't people like blaming others? It's my wife. Why does she ask? No. Other people ask the same question and they never see anything wrong. So the problem is not your wife. The problem is you. So you need to ask, especially the things that get you angry. They are dealing with something deeper in your life. And you need to find out what they are, what those things are. So compare them with the scriptures. What would be the view of scripture for such a thing? So you'll discover that your understanding, the scripture understanding, there is a difference. That's when you now start moving to truthful conceptual understanding. What should you be? How should you be treating the same thing? So you need a clarity of current understanding of character that shapes your concept. Then, number 3, determine right understanding of the concept. Once you have compared the Bible, how should you be understanding this thing? Number 4, engrave truth with existing understanding of concept. And number 5, align actions to right understanding of concept. From now on, we'll say, when my wife asks me, do I want a meal? I'll now understand she's being friendly. So I'll not get annoyed. The first time she says, you feel annoyed. Then you say, I'm sorry. But after practicing a lot of time, you will finally start accepting to be asked, how would you like your meal? Of course, I'm only giving a simple example. You have many other examples that get you out of your weather. And it will be important that you deal with it. So you must learn how to practice. Act in confidence. You know that what you have decided is the right thing. For society to change, you need to change a lot of things. And I'm finishing with this. Negative self-image to positive self-identity. The African always thinks there's something wrong with him. And sometimes the pastor also believes it. So you need to change the community by having positive self-image of yourself and of your community. To start understanding there's nothing wrong. A lot of girls can't do well in science because they were taught that girls don't do well in science. There's nothing scientifically proven that girls cannot do well. So you need to, when you question it and discover there's no basis, then you must try to change this. Ignorance to knowledge. In other words, remove ignorance to knowledge of the value of every resource. Limited supply mindset to abundant mindset. This is one of the biggest problems. Because limited supply mindset means if I get something, you must lose. It's so limited. Remember, I grew up in 1950s when there was little food. So when the food was brought, how much went to your stomach depended on your speed, isn't it? So in the end, you grow up always fighting for something. You saw the other day when the MP of Nyeri, the lady, Wambui, gave food. And Kikuyu went to fight. And you can see it's green everywhere in Nyeri. Do you come from Nyeri? It's a place that's green. But we saw on TV people fighting for food. It's because of the limited mindset. Believing that if I'm not the first, I'll not get food. Now, so you need to deal with that as a problem. So that you have to have dependence to the dependence. It's important to understand there are three ways of dealing with life. One is independence. The other one is dependence. The other one is interdependence. And many of us seated here are in one of those three categories. Dependence means you feel like to sort out your problem, your congregants must help you. Your parents must help you. That's why people are killing each other over their parents' property. Because they believe that unless they inherit, they will not make it well in life. They are dependent. They feel like they must depend on somebody else. And that's a real problem that needs to be dealt with. The second one is not dependence, it's independence. There are people at the other extreme. They don't want help from anybody. They feel proud that nobody has ever helped them, which is not true. And that's how they live life. Again, that is a wrong direction. The scriptural position is interdependence. You'll be helping others, and others are going to help you. So you need to deal with it if you want good character. Corruption, you must move from corruption to personal public integrity, degradation to communality, partiality to impartiality, favoritism to meritocracy. Don't want to be appointed to something on the basis of your knowledge of the moderator. You must tell God to make you shine in your area. So by the time you go to something, because you can do it. Favoritism isn't something that's good for society. Consumption, because we answered the question, what direction do you want to move our community? Am I clear? All this is a list of things you need to pray that in your parish community will happen. The other one is consumption mindset, production mindset. A lot of Kenya is how much are we getting? Nobody is bothering how much we are producing. Raw material economy to value-added economy. We just produce coffee and send it. Nobody bothers to make it into Nescafe rather than sell it as raw coffee. Now, and we feel happy about it. Mediocrity to excellence. If you are an African, anything works. Are you a Muzungu? Now, that means why are you asking for high standards? We are what? We are Africans. A low standard belongs to Africans. That's something we must change in our community. Now, I have run out of time. How many minutes do I have? 0. 0. Sorry? Oh, time up.
Yes.
Okay. No, I am already done in the sense that I wanted to give the example of Mother Teresa, who did not have a name, never came from a big country, did not have a height. Remember, like a woman, was like a small woman. But he ended up to be somebody who changed the world. I would like you to read the story once you get the notes. Martin Luther King. People say there is no Obama if there is no Martin Luther King. And yet, he was just a black boy. People do not think he is amounting to anything. Initially, they ignored him. And he was a very young man. Do you know he died by the age of 39? He died a young man. But he changed the course of America. You need to understand, any one of us here can become the leader that will leave such a legacy. And I'd like you to just go through the story. Application for personal, relational, organizational, society. I want you to go and do this exercise on self-reflection. Would you like to read the quotes for us?
Your actions speak so loud that I cannot hear what you are saying. Chinese proverb.
Next.
Actions speak louder than words. Bad company corrupts good character. of Tarsus, 1 Corinthians 15:33.
Now somebody else, this side, who wants to read?
When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change my town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realized the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly, I realized that if long ago I changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. And I could have made an impact on my town. This impact could have changed the nation, and I could have indeed changed the world. Written by an old monk around 1100 AD.
Isn't that a wonderful thing? And there are several references we can look at. The extra minute he gave me is so that I clarify anything I said which has made you confused. I don't want to leave you confused, I must unconfuse you. Now, so if you don't mind, let's take only 5 minutes to yes?
How should you treat all the gifts that sometimes parishioners want to bring to you as a pastor, and you think it is out of a genuine love, encouragement, appreciation? How should you treat them generally, including the biblical first fruit?
First of all, I would like the treasurer of the General Assembly. Is he here? I need the treasurer to tell us what he recommends the pastor to do. Is there a treasurer here? Name them. Name them. Are you a treasurer? Go ahead. Speak loudly. Would you like the parishioners to be taking their fruits to the church or to the pastor?
No, I don't want to be in conflict.
Okay.
Because there's a practice. You see, in this church we are led by practice and procedure.
Yeah.
The procedure is that the pastor or anybody other or any other officer should receive a salary.
Yeah.
But there's the practice.
That's the de jure, they say in legal terms.
Yes.
De jure, his income should come from the church through the treasurer.
Yes.
But de facto, the practice, now name it.
The practice is mchungaji, for example, and we are not vilifying the ministers.
Yeah.
Mchungaji tunajua anaangaliwa na guild, for example. So if the guild decide to give the minister something, they are at liberty.
Has it ever been discussed in the General Assembly? Now I will say nothing. I'm sure you have gotten the answer. Because I gave you my examples, isn't it? And the people who were giving me are the same one giving the pastor. No difference. They're exactly same. So you need to understand yourself and understand what you need to do. Are we together? Yeah. Now in share, just to give you the share, because you can't stop people giving you. We agreed. If somebody gives you a card, that you can accept. Anything whose value by the time I retire, anything whose value is equal to food. You know, like 2,000 shillings. It's not even enough in Itakon. You can't buy a meal that is only 2,000. But 2,000, which is something you can eat and go to the toilet, finish. It can hardly influence you. Unless you are a messenger. If you're earning 100,000 or more, 2,000 cannot do it. So when it's a small gift like that, you are told, don't bother the management. Any other gift is handed over to the management. The management decides to give it to a charity or do whatever they want to do with it. Are we together? Yes. If it's a gift that is engraved the name John Nganga, they will have a difficulty selling it. Are we together? They have today they decide to destroy it or now give me. And now when they give me, I'm okay now, I can stay with it. But the decision is not mine. It's the work of the management to decide whether to keep or not. And if you allow the pastor to be the one to determine, and he has just run out of money for school fees, sure, you're not putting him into a difficult position. You are putting him in a very difficult position. Possession. So you can't stop people giving, but you can agree how to handle their gifts. But to leave people to decide on their own is to put them in real trouble. I would rather there was a policy for the presbytery or for that particular parish that says how do you handle those kind of things. Okay, somebody else? Well, that's a very tough question. Yes?
I think I was a little bit confused.
Yes.
I should be predictable.
Yes.
Madam, I was wondering how, if I told these people maybe predict that I don't care so much, even if they don't give me my salary on time and it is there, they need to do their own things first, and they have already predicted that. How can I?
Remember, to be predictable does not mean the negative.
No.
You should be predictable. You hold him to account. You are supposed to pay me on that year.
Yes.
On 1st of February, I'll be on your desk. Treasurer, where is my money? And they are predictable, so they can't give you money. So it is predictable does not mean they sit on you. No. Predictable means they know, because you are not asking for money. Is that the wrong thing? Because you may be renting a house, the landlord is asking for money, and there is money. It's only the treasurer is sitting on it. So surely that's not what I meant, and it's good you have asked the question. So predictable means you are consistent in what you do. You always ask for your money, so they know you will still ask. Now, so it's important. Now, the only thing is, the treasurer should also be good character. So if he is the same who pays when he is asked, it just means he has a bad character. So we were not just talking to the pastor, we were also talking to the treasurer, isn't it? Now, there is no way you claim to be going to heaven, Mr. Treasurer, and you are always refusing with the pastor's money. Which heaven are you going to? And if there is money, but now the reason I say that, my father-in-law died the other day, and he was a pastor in an Anglican church for 40 years. So I have heard all this, and I've been married for 36 years, over 36 years. So I heard all the stories. How you have to run after the treasurer. Now, it's a terrible thing. And it's just when my wife was going to school. The school fees time has come, and there's no money. Sometimes they have 6 months of your salary, because they don't want your daughter to go to school. And they feel like they are the right ones to ensure your child is thrown out of school. And they still claim to go to heaven. Which heaven is this? Now, it's important to understand, when you are talking about it, we mean all of us, isn't it? So nobody is allowed to have that kind of character. So I'm glad, my sister, you have raised it. So it's not, but you must still be predictable. Don't pretend you are happy not to get a salary. Then all of a sudden you jump like Allah. You are not predictable.
Yes.
If you are happy not to be paid, don't ever complain. Be predictable means we can predict you will be unhappy. So therefore we know what to do. Are we together? You normally have you have an uncle who normally sends you money from America. So even if we don't pay you, you don't mind. In fact, even when you pay, you say, this is your money, I can do without it. Now, next time we have several. Remember, the treasurer is also traveling with the bills to pay, isn't it? So he'll not pay you, and you can't blame him, because he knows you don't need the money. But there's somebody else who needs money. So if you're not predictable, you could be claiming the church is molesting you, but you are molesting yourself by behaving like it's okay, and yet you know it is not okay. Be open, be transparent. Isn't that the one we used? Yeah. If you have integrated, you will be transparent. Who is the last person to comment? It doesn't have to be a question, it will be a comment. Yes?
You talked about Christianity, beliefs, and culture.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean that these things are not really practical in the church, because they seem to be maybe the real problem? Because yes,
that is Kikuyu religion and Christian religion.
Kikuyu religion or Kimeru religion,
yeah,
and Christianity,
yeah,
there is no clear boundary, because you find even the leaders, maybe the ministers, the leaders, we do not have a clear boundary, and it is not spoken against.
You see,
Except now when you have.
I'm the only one there. You know, that's the biggest problem of the church in Kenya. I told you we do not theologize on the Kikuyu religion or the Kikuyu religion. People are left to know on their own. Yet you people went to Bible school for 3 years. Some of you 4 years. Am I right? Surely. Now you speak like people who have never been to Bible school. You need to take each one of the religion and dismantle it. Because you don't just talk before you find out. Before I talked about Guradio, I went to find out what is Guradio. So by the time I'm talking, the Kikuyu understands, I understand it. Then I check the scriptures. The book of Hebrews is against the shedding of blood, isn't it? So I'm able to use the scriptures and the religion and say the two cannot go the same direction. You can't have one with the other. Now, because the church is keeping quiet, we are leaving people in confusion. Am I right? So you need to ask yourself, have you dealt with it? Not just talk loudly, study it. Study the scriptures. I was telling the people on Saturday that there's a great preacher who says, you can never be a good preacher unless you have newspaper in one hand and the Bible in another. The trouble is, some people have the Bible and don't have the newspaper. If you have the Bible and not newspaper, you have an answer without a question. So you'll be talking and you are scratching where it is not itchy. When you read a newspaper, you understand the people's problems. Then you go to the Bible to find Jesus' answer on the people's problems. So if you don't understand the society, you'll be giving sermons irrelevant to the problems at hand, isn't it? And when people are busy, like currently, the last 10 years, have been a very busy time recruiting Kiama. Am I right? And yet, you might discover for those 10 years, nobody preaches about it. Surely. It means you are reading the Bible, and yet you have nothing from the scriptures. Are we together? So to me, that's where the problem is. But because we have had it today, earlier you have to be forgiven. Because you didn't know. Today you know. Today you know. And I'm only giving an example. Go and study the religion itself and what the Bible says about it. And the things that are practiced in your religion, a traditional religion, that are not in the Bible, you must as a pastor talk about them. Are we together? Thank you very much. God bless you.